listening. But that's very rare. In Joburg, very many things are very rare, but that's because I'm a bit. People say I'm cynical, but I just think I'm like realistic. I just call it like I see it. And that reminds me of this quote that I saw the other day. It's like the price you pay for pleasing everybody else, or for like being liked by everybody else, is that you end up not liking yourself. And I was like, it's true, man, because there's no way. Jesus was, depending on your belief system, the only perfect being to ever walk on this earth, and he had enemies that literally, uh, you know, um, persecuted him and put him on a stake and killed him. Uninformed opinions are the worst opinions to have, and with popular culture and the internet, because the internet, like Bino said, people are more ignorant than they have the excuse to be, because 20 years ago when I was growing up, the internet was this far away thing that I didn't understand, and information came from encyclopedias and books, and that's where I got all my information. And now when everything is literally a click away, it's in the palm of your hand, and you're still ignorant about things, it's problematic. But the reason I think that happens is because the entire world is living under a dictatorship, and we don't even realize we're under a dictatorship. Because if you look at any government, whether it's Iran or America or South Africa, the premise of a totalitarian state is control. That's all they want. And in Roman times, they used physical might and power as much as they used entertainment. So they created colosseums, and they created circuses, and they limited what people had information and access to, and that controls a person's way of thinking. And if people don't realize that, if you're not careful, man, Facebook and Twitter and all of those things are distractions. It's a way to kind of homogenize people as well, because a good example is like Tumblr, and how a lot of people, based on how they dress, I call them like, oh yo, that's Tumblr fashion, because it's copy paste. Something that a popular person says, copy paste, and people adopt these things. And it's the same way today that those powers that be use entertainment to control people and to misdirect our attention from like real critical issues. The world is getting worse. It's not becoming a better place to live. And unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the people with the potential to change the world are people that are creative. And that's not necessarily that you make music, or you're a photographer, or you draw, or you're a TV presenter. You can be a creative accountant or mathematician or plumber and redesign irrigation systems or plumbing systems that in a way that will really impact and make a change to the world. And I think if creative people in any sphere focused on things like that and telling their truth, it would change the way that we see the world and the things that we focus on. It's not about having 50,000 Instagram likes, and that in itself is not a bad thing, but how are you using that to better yourself, or to better your family or your community, or any of those things? Or is it just like, yo man, I'm really popular and I'm a pseudo celebrity? As soon as your opinion kind of strays from the mainstream, or you're swimming against stream, you're either a hater, or you're bitter, or you're sour, or it's you get called all kinds of things. And for me, is that how do we improve anything without critical opinion? I mean, 2 weeks ago I was shooting Joburg Fashion Week for AFI, and I was just talking to some of the designers, and I asked them, and some of the magazines and the media, I'm like, how are these designers supposed to improve when there's an embargo on critically speaking about their clothes? So if you are working for, I don't know, Elle Magazine, Marie Claire, you're not allowed to say this collection or that collection wasn't great for these valid reasons, because then you're like barred from seeing the shows from. And I'm like, no wonder most of South African fashion sucks, or the stuff we see at fashion weeks anyway. Because if someone is not critically evaluating what you do, how do you improve? Imagine all of us in our jobs, if we could just do what we want, and our bosses never said, I'm not happy with X, Y, and Z, you need to improve. How does anything grow and improve without constructive criticism? And the truth is inconvenient, and people, that's the first thing you need to understand, is that the truth is not going to be something that you like in anything. What we need to realize is that real success and the most successful people fail forwards, man. you just go from one failure to the next and just fail to a lesser degree. If you really want to be successful, you have to take risks. You have to put your fear aside of critique or failing, or and I think people, even less than being afraid to fail, or just afraid to fail in public because you look like less of a person, because of the internet, and everyone's got a Facebook page and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. Now if you have any kind of popularity or fame and you fail, it becomes generalized and everybody knows about it. And if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, people are going to start clapping for the wrong reasons, because now everything you do is to please the masses. And that's kind of why me and my close friends, with any of our creative endeavors, we want to take risks and almost purposely fail, because once you failed a couple of times and you realize, man, I'm still standing, I'm still here, you're not afraid anymore. And then that's when I feel true creativity takes place, when you're pushing your own boundaries, and you're doing things in a completely different way from the last project. And that's kind of how I am with any of the creative things that I'm doing at the moment, whether it's writing a screenplay or learning graphic design or illustration or photography or film or whatever it is. I want to do it differently every time. So each project needs to look completely different from the last. I mean, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. That's what a good friend of mine always says, Chisanga. Dude, this is the year for us to do whatever the hell we want creatively. And the people that leave they're not in our lane, and that's okay. They'll find people that regurgitate the same thing over and over. We'll do different things. And that's what I always implore anybody in the creative field. And granted, we can't do that in our 9 to 5s, because I work at an advertising agency. You may not be able to fulfill your true creativity in the job, but that job pays for you to eat and to live. But when you have your own time, that's the time where you should go completely left field. Do what you want, because the conservative safe thing is there in your job for you to do the graphic design or the art or the writing or whatever it is that your job makes you do. But when it's me time, when it's time for me to do my own thing, take your shackles off, man. I'm almost impelled to do it. Like something in me, there's like this fire that if I don't do this, I feel like I'm gonna go crazy, and I do it. And when you start doing those things, people laugh, man. Like this year when I started doing music again, and I just kind of interestingly spoke to people about it. People were like, what? You're doing music? That's stupid. You sound what? You know what I mean? And it was the same thing with photography, and the same thing with just about anything that I've ever wanted to do that didn't fit into people's preconceived notion of who I was. People will first laugh, then they'll copy, and then they'll want you to participate. Never let what people think you should be doing be the thing that you're doing. And even when people laugh, man, break the shackles and do it anyway, because if you persist, you will get better at it. And that's the thing about human beings, is that for the most part, man, any of us can do anything. Like, there's nothing I can't do. And people a lot of the time think, hey, this guy's arrogant, he thinks he can do anything. I can do anything. I just have to set my mind to it. And if I put that 10,000 hours or the equivalent thereof to it, I will get better at it. And a lot of people give up before they get better. That's the problem. It's like, man, the first couple of things that I'm shooting, or the first couple of ideas that I'm putting down or I'm writing, they don't look that good compared to like these people that have been doing it for years. And that's when people give up. You give up probably just before you get to a point where you're getting better at it, or you start to find your voice. And yeah, man, I'd encourage people never to stop, just because people don't like what you're doing or they think that it sucks. Keep going, because at a point you hit critical mass, man, and there's a tipping point where it comes easier. People see your consistency in it and they love what you do, and that's a big failure of a lot of creative people: inconsistency.